Hello and welcome back to Microsoft Flight Simulator. Thank you very much for joining me in today's video, and today I'm going to be taking a look at this. This is the TBM 850 by BlackSquare, available on the Just Flight website for £29.99. Just Flight have kindly offered me a review key, which I have taken, but as usual with all of my reviews, flights, etc., my thoughts and opinions are completely my own. Any endorsements or lack thereof will be of my own volition. Now, this aircraft is claiming to be, as I quote, unapologetically realistic. It also claims to be one of the most technically advanced aircraft in Microsoft Flight Simulator, so I'm going to be putting that to the test. Although, that being said, the feature list, or the system, at least the systems part of it, does show that this is quite technically advanced, because we have things such as improved turbine dynamics, turbine engine failures, gyroscope physics simulation, turbine bleed air, completely interactable electrical systems, some electronic flight instrumentation systems they're like PFDs, I believe, system failures, 100 of them, a full cabin environmental control system, oxygen system, mathematically accurate VOR and ADF signal attenuation, and this one is quite interesting because whilst the others, at least some of the others, I have seen on the steam gauge overhauls, which by the way this is not, this last one is completely new. FOD ingestion damage. Now that is something I never thought I would expect from a flight simulation aircraft, so there we go. In this video, I'm going to try and do an entire review in one, but if it is not possible, this will be split over two videos. This video would be the cockpit familiarization, talking a little bit about the system, starting the aircraft up, maybe a bit of taxiing, takeoff, that sort of stuff, whereas the second video will be cruise, approach, landing, or approach, descent, landing, descent, approach, landing, there we go, and then shut down in my final opinions. But I will try and do it all in one video if possible, though it may end up being something like an hour and a half long. So make sure you stay tuned, get yourself comfortable, because this is going to be a long one, and let's find out just how realistic this aircraft is, and is it worth £30, and who is it designed for? Right, I'm going to start this review by taking a look at the exterior of this aircraft, because it is extremely highly detailed, but also there are a few features on this that I've not seen on other aircraft of this sort of type. I say this sort of type, I'm talking about propeller-driven aircraft. This is obviously not your Arrow or Bonanza or anything like that, but I'll talk about that maybe a little bit later when I am in flight as to what this aircraft is all about. One of the things that I just want to show you is the engine. The internals of this Pratt & Whitney engine have been modelled, although it has been done in such a way that once the covers are shut and you're inside, all the model disappears. So that way it does not have any impact on your frames whatsoever. But just to have the internals of this aircraft modelled is quite cool. The other thing that I want to point out is the quality of the textures, and I'm not talking about the livery here, but just the rest of the textures itself, because I think the livery is a slightly lower quality, whereas these textures, look at how far I can zoom in. That is absolutely fantastic. So it did say that it was nearly vector level, and I would say that it is extremely highly detailed. So all the way through, reflection mapping, normal mapping, the modelling is superb as well. Everything just looks excellently put together, and the level of detail even goes as so far as to, look at that, I can read what that says. Look how tiny that particular sticker is. It's a tiny sticker, and yet it's modelled. And it says on here, yes, the doors open. Yes, they do. That is very much so. The reason that is there is because this developer has done the steam gauge overhauls, and with the steam gauge overhauls, unfortunately, you do not have opening doors because it uses the default Microsoft Flight Simulator model, whereas this is a completely custom model with, though it uses some of the standard TBM 930 sounds, most of it is completely brand new. So you do need that aircraft installed, which is that one over there. So you do need that default aircraft installed with its 5-blade propeller. This one has a 4-blade propeller. But aside from that, modelling, texturing, dynamics, physics, everything is completely custom. So let's go ahead, and I think we've had a good look outside. I do want to see if I can click that button though. Or do I need to be in some sort of exterior view? Because it says click to close door. Instead of maybe showcase, maybe I need to be in external view to press that particular button. Can I? No. Okay, so from the outside, I don't think you can click things. That might be a limitation with Microsoft Flight Simulator, to be honest. But there we go. Let's take a peek inside. Is an aircraft started up or something? I can hear a propeller. Apparently there's a ghost propeller aircraft going past. Okay, anyway. Taking a look inside. So I thought I'd start back here. And then was it Alt and forward. Again, just to show the level of detail on the textures. Apparently it's something like 10,000 pixels per inch, and I can believe it, because the texture quality is incredible. It is, look at the carpet, look at the leather. It is absolutely phenomenally done. Try saying that out loud 10 times. Press to close the door. I think I need to retract the steps. Let's do that. Let's close this bit up. And you can see the level of detail, even some writing on the hydraulic arm there. And that going from red to green to show that is completely locked, and you cannot unlock it now without pressing that button. We have lighting inside, like a wood veneer. The emergency exits, I do not think this one actually works, so that is fine. And then of course up front, the parts where we will be spending most of our time, and that is up front in the cockpit area. So if I just press Control and space to get back there, I will close this door. And the noises, all the noises are there. You use these rudder adjustment levers to close the bonnet, as it were. Interestingly enough, in cars you tend to have these anyway, to open and close bonnets or boots. So there we go. Okay, here we are inside the cockpit, and I'm not going to spend a huge amount of time looking through everything here, because I think that once the aircraft is started up, that is when it will be more obvious as to what things do. As usual with all of these products, you can click on the shaft of the yoke to remove the yoke, which is good. This autopilot disconnect button does work. If I press mine, will it copy it? No. So that does work. It's supposed to be a 2-stage button, but it is, in real life, it's a 2-stage button. Obviously, we do not have 2-stage buttons in general on our flight equipment, so it is a single-stage double press button for that, which is really, really handy, well thought of. So let's have a quick look at what we have around and all the views that we have. So Control 1 brings up the captain side of the aircraft cockpit. And over here I can see an airspeed indicator with an interesting setup, with 0 being in the 6 o'clock position as opposed to in the 12 o'clock position, which means that your lower airspeeds are to the left-hand side as opposed to the right-hand side. We have an attitude indicator there. We have a VOR, our VOR2 localizer instrument there, standard Bendix King, radio magnetic indicator right there, chronometer, outside air temperature. All of this is the DI system, including an inertial separator, which I shall talk about in a little while, but everything else is quite obvious. Pitot heat, stall warning heater, windshield heat, prop de-ice, ice light, and a standard airframe de-icer. Gyro indicator right there, our compass controls right there to be in free or slave mode and to rotate it around in case we're going through some magnetic interference. Master caution, master warning up here. Our EFIS is this section just here, so our electronic flight instrument system is right here. This top one is our electronic attitude direction indicator. So it's one of those, but an electronic version with additional bits and bobs. Think of it a bit like a PFD, but it doesn't give you speed, I do not think, and maybe it doesn't give you altitude as well. And then under that, we've got our electronic horizontal situation indicator. You can actually combine them by pressing, I think, that one, which is, compress, maybe. It puts them together anyway, and you have one or double display of the same thing. I will show you that, but I probably will not use that in that fashion. We have our speed, vertical speed and altimeter settings over here. Altitude settings, sorry. Altimeter right here. This is a Honeywell instrument, which does have some digital displays in it. This is why I want to start the aircraft before going through a lot of this. Standard vertical speed indicator. We've got our terrain inhibitor system here, or terrain warning system with the terrain inhibitor there. Storm lights, I guess. EFIS, which system it is looking at, left or right. Landing gear right there. Parking brake there. Engine trend monitor. This is a nifty little computer. I will be talking about that probably when we are in flight. Some message for GPS 1 and 2. Then we have our torque indicator, our propeller RPM, our turbine gas RPM, gas turbine RPM, there we go, turbine gas the wrong way around, gas turbine RPM, our interstage turbine temperature, engine oil temperature and engine oil pressure. So that is that side. Press 2, control and 2, and you go to the co-pilot side. We have our fuel gauges for the different tanks left and right, both on there, and our fuel pressure, as well as our auxiliary boost pump, a manual way to shift between the two tanks, or fuel selector to be automatic, so it does it on its own. ELT is right there, another one of those compass controls. We've got another backup airspeed indicator, attitude indicator, altimeter. This one does not have any digital displays on it. Vertical speed indicator, radar altimeter, that can be set up as well, and a backup horizontal situation indicator. Underneath that, we have our ADF radio, cabin temperature, something about crew music, no idea. Little DME, one of the DACOM instruments for how many flight hours you've got on this particular airframe. USB ports that do not work. Alternate static air pull lever there. Underneath that, the ram air is just down there. Then we've got some of the radios, so you can switch around on the radios, as all the steam gauge overhaul products have. This also has it, so we can go between. If I just look like that, we can pick the GTN 750 if you have one of those installed, or you can go for the GNS 530, which is what I shall be using, or you can go all the way to the KX 155 old school, which actually moves the transponder from here to there and moves the ADF radio up. For COM2, you could go to a GNS 530 or the KX 155. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have the GPS GNS Garmin GNS 530 as my COM1 system and VOR1, and my COM2 system will be this old school nav system, which is going to be the KNS-80 nav system and the KX155 communication system. So that is what I'm going to do. So that is all fairly self-explanatory. Underneath that ECS, that is our cabin climate system. So we'll be looking at that in a little bit more detail, because this is one of the things that have been extensively detailed in this aircraft. If we go to 3, that brings us up to our autopilot panel on the glare shield. Standard place where you would find it on a lot of jet aircraft. So that is where they've put it here. I do like how the TBM 850 is laid out. It is quite... It is interesting because it is laid out sort of half and half. It's a propeller aircraft, but it's laid out a little bit like a jetliner, and I do like it. And it does sort of make sense given the people that this is for. So this is a business jet, not a business jet, sorry, a business turboprop. So this falls between the old business turboprops and things like Cessna Citations, which are the jet business jets. So business turboprop, business jet. That makes complete sense. This is supposed to be more economical. They are really, really expensive. So there we go. That is 3. 4 is the throttles. So we've got our flap controls over here, and then the 850 mode. Talk about that in a while. We've got our trims for the elevator, rudder and aileron, flap operation indicator, trim controls right there, throttle, prop, and then this is not exactly a mixture lever. This is a condition lever. So you've got cutoff, low and high. That's the only options we have on this. So cutoff, low, high. It is quite interesting, whereas as you can see, the prop has all the options, and the throttle has something quite interesting, because what we have is we have our standard throttle here, bring it down to there. That is now in taxi range, which is beta throttle. I'll talk a little bit about that when the aircraft is started as well. So that's about the first 15% of the range is beta throttle. This is sort of a compromise because Microsoft Flight Simulator does not do that. And then that is reverse. So that is really cool. And then next to that, we have something that says manual override. That is actually in the case that the throttle is not responding due to some turbine failure. We can actually use the manual override very carefully to keep the engine flying, to keep the engine working so that we can get to an airport. Very, very interesting. Fuel selector is just underneath. You can select left and right, and then you actually have to pull it out like that to select off, which is really quite cool. I'm going to leave that in the off configuration for now. If we look at up here, we have a small overhead panel with all of our lights, our gyro instrumentation. Again, the gyroscope is going to be quite interesting to see. I want to see how that all works, because it is physical. It's not just an animation. It actually is simulated, the whole gyroscopic instruments and the way it works. Our basic electrical system here, so our generators and our engine start, voltmeter and ammeter just there, oxygen for passengers, and our oxygen system there with the amount of oxygen we have on that needle there. Compass whiskey right there. There's a fuel. We've already looked at that. We've already looked at that. We've already looked at that. This is some lighting controls. So for the rest of the cabin, also emergency lights right there. And then we've got some of the front panel lighting. 0 is our circuit board or circuit breakers. Every single one of these can be pulled. So I could pull the strobe one. There we go. Left landing light pulled. Every single one of these work, and they will have an impact on the aircraft. The one thing that I have missed, because I thought it would be easier to see on a different screen, is this bit here. This is an annunciator panel, and we will be going through what each and every one of these mean. But that is that. That bit is now complete. I've shown you where everything is on the aircraft. What we now have to do is start said aircraft. So I'm going to go through that, and once I've started the aircraft, I will probably put my head tracking on so that we can do a flight. So the checklists do work. As I said, there are 55 checklists covering all different aspects of flights with well over 600 checklist items. So we've got all the normal checklists right there. Then we've got abnormal and emergency checklists all the way here. So everything that you need for flying this aircraft in every possible condition, which is great. So I am not going to go through this on screen because it sort of gets in the way. What I'm going to do is I have the checklists on my mobile phone. So I'm going to be using my mobile phone to go through the checklists, which comes in a 100-page manual, by the way. And once I've gone through said checklist, we can just move on as normal. But I will be pointing out where everything is. So let's start with crash lever up. So that is on 5, control 5. This thing here is a crash lever. Move that up. You can just scroll with a mouse wheel or drag it up and down. Source selector is off. Generator selector is to main. Starter is off. Ignition needs to go to automatic or off. Exterior lights are all switched off, which they are. Gyro instruments all off. Emergency lights test. So for the emergency lights test, all you need to do is go up here. These are the emergency lights. And as you can see, they do work. So switch them on, switch them back off. Excellent. Back up to this one. There we go, control 5, if that is where I need to be. No, I do not. Circuit breakers on X. Check that every single circuit breaker is in. That is checked. All the de-icing switches need to be off, so that is 7. Yes. All de-icing switches are switched off. Check. Landing gear control is down. Autopilot trim master. Yes, I did not show that. Here we go. So we have some instrument lighting over here. This is actually a weird lighting system which allows you to just switch off all the lights if somebody has it on. Say you're landing and you need to focus. You don't want light glaring in any screen. And then we have our autopilot master switch just here and our radio master switch just over here. So both of those are off. Bleed air is off, so that's over here. Bleed air, off. Air conditioning, off. Dump switch, guarded. Ram air handle, completely in, that is in. Auto fuel selector needs to be a manual, so that is going to be, is it 6? Auto fuel selector, manual. Auxiliary boost pump, off. Tank selector, left or right. So now we need to go ahead and pop this in. So we'll pop it into the left tank, as like so. ELT is armed. It is. Parking brake is set, which it is. So that's the parking brake just there. Parking brake set. Manual override lever is off. Check. Power lever, flight idle, check. Propeller lever, max RPM, check. Condition lever, cut off. Flap controls, up. Battery bus power, check supply. Now, I have no idea how to check the supply of this. If I understand correctly, pressing this button should actually light something up, but I'm not sure what it lights up, and I'm not sure where it is. So there we go. That is an interesting one for me. That is the one thing that I do not know how it works. Next up, we need to, is it 5? We need to go source selector, battery or GPU. Well, we are using battery today. There we go. We have 25 volts, just above 25 volts. Exterior lights panel, lights test. Press that. Test complete. Fuel gauges, check quantity. Which one is it? 6. We have not a huge amount of fuel. I think it is enough. It is enough for the flight that I wish to do today. So that should be okay. I'm sure if need be I can work out something else. May have to do something else with it. Flap controls, no, that's been done. Fuel gauge, there we go. Advisory panel, check 1 and 2. So that is 3 just over here. So we've got price and dim, and then test 1 and test 2. So let me see if I can remember what each one of these does. So ITT is a warning. Obviously red is critical warning, and the amber is a caution or just some information for you, an advisory. ITT is when the interstage turbine temperature exceeds 850 degrees Celsius. That is when that will come on. Oil pressure will come on when it drops below 60 psi, I believe. Starter is if the starter is on. It will also flash when the starter is engaged, I believe. Ignition is if the ignition is on. Sometimes you need that switched on when the starter is not in operation, for example, to prevent a flame out. So that's one. Parking brake is if the parking brake is on. I have no idea what those 2 yellow bars are, not a clue. Bleed temp, I believe, is if the bleed temperature of the air conditioning system exceeds 317 degrees Celsius. Bleed off is if bleed is off. That is quite important if you're up in the air, because you cannot pressurize if the bleed switch is off. Cabin pressure is if the cabin pressure is exceeding 14,000 feet or the differential pressure exceeds 6.5 psi, something like that. Door is if you have an unlatched door. Flaps is if your flaps are not operating properly, so maybe one flap on one wing has failed and therefore you've got a differential in your flaps. Oxygen is if you've got oxygen, requiring oxygen, or low on oxygen, should I say. Pitot 1 and 2 are your pitot heats. That's just an advisory. Stall heater, again, same thing. So if they are not functional, they should be out when they are functional. Inert sep is your inertial separator. That is for getting rid of foreign object debris or trying to prevent any FOD from entering and being ingested into the engine. We'll talk about that a little bit later again. Vacuum low is if your vacuum pressure is low. TRQ is if your torque exceeds 124.1%, which is the maximum torque you can run on this engine safely. Bats off is if your battery is off. Main generator is if your main generator is off. Low voltage is self-explanatory. GPU is if your GPU door flap is open outside. Chip is if there are metal contaminants detected in the engine, and that is normally if your engine is about to go kaput. So you need to be very wary of that. Fuel off is if your fuel selector is off. Fuel pressure is if your fuel pressure drops below 10 psi. Auxiliary boost pump on is self-explanatory. Fuel left low, fuel right low, self-explanatory. And auto select is if you are not using the auto select. I think if the auto select is switched off, which is that one there. So that is everything on the annunciator panel. Excuse me. Right, now let's go ahead and check everything else. So the oxygen, we need to make sure that the oxygen annunciator is extinguished. Interior lights as required. Well, we do not need any at this point in time. Environmental panel, light test. It's 8. It's a single light. Okay, so we're just looking for the climate control system fault. The next one is flaps down. So we'll pop the flaps all the way to their down position. There we go, you can hear them. And landing gear panel. Which one is landing gear panel? There it is, 7. Lights test on that. Check and check. Excellent. Pitot heat 1 needs to go on, and then we need to check pitot heat annunciator goes off. Now, I have both of these mapped together. So pitot heat 1 and 2 will be going on together, and as such, pitot 1, pitot 2, and stall heater warning should all go out at the same time. And thus they do. So we'll go ahead and switch that off. I like the fact that when you switch them on, it fades in. It is really, really well done there. De-icing panel. Time to do a lights test on that. So, yes, all the lights work there. And then the source selector can, once again, go to, oops, which one is it? 5. Source selector can, once again, go to off. There we go. Surely it's not that source selector. Really? Apparently it is. Interesting. I would not have thought that was a thing. Okay. Well, next up we are going to go into a different checklist, and that checklist is going to be before starting the engine, the before start engine checklist right here. Now, this one, realistically, I've already done quite a bit of it. So we've done the pre-flight inspection. That's done. That's closed. That's closed. That's latched. That's latched. Parking brake is set. That's nothing we need to look at. Oxygen pressure check. So that is which number is it again? 5. Up there, I've already looked at that. Passenger oxygen is off. Microphone selector we do not need to worry about. Starter is off. Ignition is auto. That is fine. Landing gears down. Check. Radio master. Now I am going to switch on the radio master. So we'll just go ahead and do that. Though we do not need the clearance at this point in time, I am still going to switch that on. I'm also going to switch on all of my avionics at this. In fact, no, I won't switch on the avionics just yet. Source selector, battery or GPU, so that is already done. Horn test is up here. I think that works. Okay. Door annunciator is not on, which is good. I think I have something about oil pressure there, which is fine. The fuel selector now needs to go to automatic. So we'll go ahead and do that. The GPS is now starting up. Engine instruments are all okay right now. ITT test, so we need to check this. Goes up, and if we hold that, we should be able to see. In fact, it's difficult to see. Do this. You should see that light up. There it goes. So that's warning us of the turbine temperature just being a little bit too high, which is good. Exterior lights as required. Well, at this point, nav lights can go on. This aircraft does not have beacons, which is really annoying. Then I need to do my before start checklist. So we'll do an engine, before start checklist, engine start on the battery. So that is what I'm going to do. Thought I'd just show you that everything that I am doing is on these checklists. So everything is exactly where it should be. Next up, as I said, engine start, right. Manual override lever off. Power lever, flight idle. Now, at this point in time, I think I'm going to put my head tracking on. So, let's go ahead and grab that. Pop off my headphones to just sort out the tracking system. There we go. I think I am in a good position here. Get myself comfortable. And switch on the head tracking. There we go. Excellent. Right, and 0 should 0 all of my head tracking as I want it to be. And then I can move anything around wherever I want. That is probably better. Can I look around with... Yes, I can. Okay, cool. There we go. Head tracking is now on. So, manual override is off. Power lever is at flight idle, which is not that now. That there is flight idle. Propeller lever, max RPM. Cutoff is still at cutoff. Source selector, battery, check. Auxiliary boost pump needs to go on. That is now on. That is now illuminated. Good. Fuel pressure is extinguished. Check. Good. Ignition needs to go to auto. And this is another cool thing. I don't know if I'm going to be able to show this though. If I switch that on, and I just max out the instrument and panel lighting. Watch when I try to start the engine. There is voltage based lighting. So as we start drawing voltage to start the engine, all the lights are going to dim because, well, that is not where we need the power. So ignition is in auto, starter now goes on, and there you go. See everything dimmed, and this is something that works with everything. This actually works with all the systems. So whatever load you add on to the system, it will increase the amount that you are loading it, and therefore it will have an impact on the need to bring this up, sorry, I was being distracted. It will bring up or have an impact on the lighting. You can see the gyroscopes in motion right there as that comes to life. I'll also bring the avionics online. Avionics are now online. That can change to Celsius. 24 degrees Celsius in the cabin, that's fine. Okay, starter can now go off. We're past 50. There we go. Starter is now off. Oil pressure has been extinguished. Bleed, that's fine. I'm not worrying about that. This is nice and low. It needs to be below 870. Everything here looks fairly good. Voltmeter is good. Ammeter is slightly charging, which is what it should be. And I think at this point we need to bring ourselves into high idle. Excellent. Now, this is really cool. Look at the vertical speed on this. So that, I believe, is fluctuations caused by the turbulence of the propellers hitting the pitot tubes and the static ports. And that differential is being shown in the vertical speed. I think that is brilliant. Let's go ahead and get our pressure for the area. So it's 1031 today. And we will, of course, have to go up to 1013, or go down to 1013 once we are airborne. So I think at that point we are ready to go. What I'm going to do today, so we are currently in Brussels. Just going to boot up my Navigraph charts. I did have a flight planned, but I'm not going to do that one, so I'm just going to unload it. And all I'm going to do is we're going to start with a bit of hand flying. So we're going to take off on runway 25 right. We will take off. We will fly runway heading directly over Brussels. Then we will turn, and I'm actually going to see if I can... Oops, not the airports. That's not what I'm after. No. Not after airports. I know what I want. World map, IFR low. There we go. I'm going to try and find a reasonable... Should we start with... So got 114.6. Take off 1149. So this is what we're going to do. So we're going to use some of the radios. So we will... Our initial one will be 1149. We're just sitting and burning up here, but that's fine. 1149, and I would like to have that set up so I am... that's that one. I'm going to try and find a radial for it. Avionics are on. Why are these not on? Ah, yes, EFIS Master. That needs to go on. We'll switch that off. I think we are good to go. That should be in standby, right? Yes, that should not be on. We're going to climb to, we'll say, should say about 20,000 feet. So if I set this to about 22,000 feet on the cabin pressure, so that's the outside altitude. That will be what the inside altitude will be. So hopefully that works the way I want it to. We'll sort out bleed valves and all of that in a moment. Temperatures are looking all right. In fact, it is a little bit warm, so let's go ahead and do that. That will start cooling the aircraft down just a smidge. Attitude fail. The reason we've got the attitude fail is because I need to start up all of these. And you'll notice as the gyroscope starts, look at that. So that is as the gyroscope is starting to spin, it will actually have an impact on how this operates. And this will work in the real world. This is how it works in the real world, and it will be accurate in the simulator. So if you start pulling, I don't know, high G maneuvers, it is going to have an impact. If you start to maybe have a failure, it will take some time for the gyroscope to spin down, but you will start noticing that this starts wobbling. It won't settle properly. If the gyroscope is spinning slowly, it will have an impact. So it's all really cool and really, really well done. So 1149 is what I want to try out. I'll swap that to nav, not ADF. VOR1, that is what I was after. Excellent. And then I can set the course to be, or if we fly runway heading, and then say, what, 90, 180, 150, 150? Should say 150. Let's do that. So round we go. Set the course to 150. This should give us a way to check the nav autopilot. There's also the RNAV system, but I may not be using that today. I have used it in other aircraft by BlackSquare. So if you want more information on this system, if I do not end up using it, just check out the reviews for the Bonanza and the Baron, because I do use it in both of those. Okay, I think I am fairly ready to go at this point. So for now, I will get rid of that. I will settle in my aircraft. I'm going to pitch the... There we go. That's a little bit better. So that's I'm looking out, and then do something along those lines. Right, pitot heat can go on. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. That is now done. I'm not going to worry about transponders today. As you can see, the temperature is settling nicely, so that is really important. And I do actually think we are ready to go. This person's in the way. Maybe I can reverse this aircraft. I have no idea if this is going to allow me to reverse it. What I am going to do is switch on the inertial separator, and this is going to take about 40 seconds to kick in, and all it does is it moves the intake. So there's a separate intake, and it moves this flap into position, which causes the intake to have a sharp turn. So the air has a sharp turn. It means less power, but anything that comes in like ice or metal shards or rubber or anything like that will be exhausted out of some vents at the bottom of the aircraft. So that is how this inertial separator works, and it is correctly simulated. I'm going to attempt a reverse. Parking brakes off. I have no idea if I can reverse this aircraft. I have no idea if this is something that is valid. I doubt it has the power to do this. It does not. Okay. That is what I thought. Right, let's go ahead and get ourselves ready for takeoff. So, brakes have been checked. I've checked my toe brakes. The trim has been... Not so sure about the trim at the moment. That doesn't look like it's set in the correct position. Which way does it need to go? That way. trim in Microsoft Flight Simulator is really annoying. You have to move it at a very specific speed. There we go. That looks fine. Flaps can go to a takeoff position. There we go. And I think that should be... we should be good to go. So let's go ahead and power up using the beta range. So what is the beta range, you might ask? The beta range is this very early area of this throttle, and what it allows us to do is use the throttle at an extremely low power, because there is a lot of power in this engine. So once we get ourselves moving, which we now are, we can go into this beta range because this engine is very overpowered. This aircraft can climb to 30,000 feet. It is a crazily powerful aircraft, this one. Taxi lights need to go on, which is that one there. As you can see, I've already got a huge amount of power. So, just going to idle up as we head towards the runway. We'll go ahead and set up our altitude. So I want my altitude to be, we will go for, should we say 20,000 feet today? Let's say 18,000 feet. Let's sit at 18,000 feet today. Vertical speed, I would like to have that at... Oh, is that not going to show? Oops. There we go. Vertical speed. Oh, why have I stopped? Did I tap the brakes? May have accidentally tapped the brakes. Whoops. Vertical speed is at 2,000 foot per minute. There we go. Are you not going to move? We do have improved ground handling on this. I just appear to be incapable of moving an aircraft. There we go. Now it is moving. Excellent. Of 2,000 feet per minute, which is great. This needs to go into an on position. Low power, like so. Initial heading is going to be 250, which is the runway course. So I'll go ahead and do that. In fact, why am I going that way? I'm trying to find an easy way to get onto the runway. I think Alpha 1 will do the trick. So 250 is 24 and 25. Excellent. Right, yes, I guess I'll just follow this down. There we go. Everything looks good here. I'm just going to go through the before takeoff checklist. So we are just going to make sure that everything is okay. We'll do the terrain test now. Which one's the test? Yep, that is working. As we come up to the runway. Is this the runway I want? No, this is not the runway I'm after. This is 19. Where's the runway that I wanted? This is not the correct runway. I want runway 25. Oh, there it is. It's there. Oh, this is very confusing. However, because I am on a runway, landing strobe lights are going to go on, and landing lights will go on. This button here pulses the landing lights, so I'm just going to have that on pulse just as I'm moving around. How do I get to the runway I want? That is the big question. Oh, this is right. This is the runway I'm after. Oh, come on. Turn, turn, turn. There we go. This was the runway I was after. Very confusing. I've never been to this airport before. Right. So I'm not going to go through things like exercising the propeller and all of that. That is all also part of this system, but in the interest of trying to save a little bit of time, I'm not going to do that. So we'll stop right here, idle, set parking brake. Yes, parking brake is on, master warning comes on for that, and I'm just going to make sure everything is okay. I think everything else is as it should be. Yes, it is. So the only thing I'm not doing is just checking the prop governor right there, and that is just your standard checks. I trust that it will work. Right. Do I need the boost pump on? I'll put that boost pump into auto. There we go. That is looking good, and I do want to make sure that everything apart from parking brake and the inertial separator is on here, so everything else has to be off, which it is. Excellent. I'm going to arm heading mode. I'm going to arm, altitude mode has armed itself, so that is fine. I'm going to switch on the yaw damper, and I think we are good to go. The compass is set, compass is accurate. Apparently this 2.5 is actually something like 2.4. Looks like it's something like 2.46, 2.47. That could be interesting. I think everything in this aircraft is good to go. Lighting, I'll go ahead and switch that off. That button will switch it off. There we go. That's what that button does. Switches the lighting on and off. Excellent. Okay. I think we are good to go here. Weather radar can now go on. And we have fairly good weather. Should be a good climb out here. So, yep, let's go. I think let's take off. So, first off, we need to ensure that we are not in 850 mode, which we cannot with the flaps down anyway. And I'll explain the 850 mode. It's just essentially the extra power. Let's go ahead and get this takeoff, and let me attempt a good takeoff. Please let it be a good takeoff. Oh, slightly wobbly. We're okay though. We've got a bit of a crosswind. Just watch that crosswind as I try to lift the nose. Here we go. Lift the nose. Up we go. Positive rate. Gear up. Let's go for a 2,000 foot climb. That wasn't a terrible takeoff, wasn't the greatest. Certainly was not terrible. I really like this. There we go. Yes, we are being buffeted around a little, it seems. So, just need to be a little bit wary of that. Flaps can now go in. And we are going to continue on a heading of, as I said, 2.5, well, let's say 2.45 now. And let's try the autopilot. So all I've got to do is kick the autopilot in by pressing that button. And the autopilot is, I decided to zero out my climb. So that is interesting. For some reason it decided to ignore what I had there, but that's okay. And we are doing a nice fast climb out. As we pick up speed, the inertial separator will have to go off because we cannot transition at less than at greater than 200 knots, so we need to switch that off. If we are, oh hello, is that working photogrammetry? If that is actual Brussels, that's okay. Stop being distracted. Working photogrammetry there. Right, we are having quite a decent climb out. It is. No, it isn't. Maybe. I have no idea. Excellent. we've got a good climb out, everything seems to be fine, and the aircraft is flying fantastically. Now what we can do is, if we want to, we can now go into 850 mode, which unlocks the 850 horsepower of this aircraft. And as you can see, immediately I went and exceeded tolerances. So you've got to be very careful as soon as that happens. But we are now climbing out, and since we are going directly to flight level 180, I'm going to go and hit standard pressure. Yep. I will continue the climb out at nearly 100% torque. So without the 850 mode, you only have 700 horsepower and your torque is limited to 100%. Then you can get up to 121.4% as soon as you get up to the next one, which is the 850 mode. The only thing about the 850 mode is, of course, it is very powerful, so you can only access it in certain situations like this. So on the ground during takeoff, none of that is a mode, or on approach landing, none of that is a mode where you can use 850. Now we do have to be very aware of the temperature and the clouds, which at the moment look okay. I'm actually going to try and get a screenshot here, so that looks quite good. The clouds do look okay. I see no visible moisture. So yes, this aircraft can cruise at over 300 knots, which is really strange because as far as I can figure out, the landing speed of this aircraft is about 84 knots. So 84 knots, 300 knots cruise. It has a range of 1,500 nautical miles. It can, what else can it do? Let me think. Oh yes, it has a service ceiling of 31,000 feet at standard pressure. So we're talking about flight level 310. Yes. Just realised we've blown through what we were looking for. Well done. Let's go ahead and change that course then. Let's pick something a little different. There we go. Let's go ahead into nav mode and see if this works. Nah, it's sending me the wrong way. I've done my very common bit of stupidity, and I've sent it the wrong way. Now, I wonder if it will pick this up. I doubt it, because it's so off what it needs to pick up. I'm not sure it is going to pick this up. So we'll hit heading, turn around, and see what it can do. This is a good test, actually, of the aircraft. So we are still climbing. It is still going really well. We are now at 0. I still see no... Oh, actually, it is a little hazy. That could be classed as visible moisture. It does look just a little hazy out here. And that is a concern. I am actually going to switch my inertial separator on. I'm going to have to leave it on for the entire flight. So we've just got to make sure we do not exceed 200 indicated for whilst this is switching on. The caution light will come on. I'm going to switch on the windshield heat, and we'll look for probably should have the anti-ice on. Just trying to see what kind of... I've messed up this nav point because I've been too busy looking at other things. Oh wait, it does work with the nav. Excellent. So it does, there you go, nav mode works quite nicely. What I am going to do instead is I'm going to swap back into heading, hold, because we are going to be heading 330. The aircraft works really nicely there. I'm going to check the half bank now and soft ride, which should actually, as it suggests, half the bank angle and try and soften up the ride through turbulence. So let's go ahead and try that now. It's still pulling quite a decent bank angle. Interesting. Okay, well, that was not what I was expecting. Perhaps I've done something slightly incorrectly. We are still climbing, so this aircraft is still able to do it. We can give it a little bit more power. So as soon as the inertial separator comes on, we have different things. So we can no longer look at the torque when the inertial separator is on. Generally, we are now looking at the turbine temperature. So just bear that in mind, that instead of looking at the torque, we now have to look at the turbine temperature to know how much power we can put in. We are indeed slowing down in airspeed, in indicated airspeed, that is. So I could drop the climb to 1,000 foot per minute, or a little bit of lag apparently. There we go. Just again, be very wary of this. Cannot exceed 850. But overall, this is lagging badly. Should we have a look outside? Let's have a look outside. Okay, it's a bit close. Zoom out a bit. Or zoom in a bit, actually. There we go. Sounds great. Should probably switch the landing lights off now that we are well above where we need to be. So go and pop that into auto, take a screenshot. Like so. May take a couple of screenshots just to give me options should I require them. Excellent handling, really. And inside, back we go, and obviously switch off the landing lights, which are, what, this one? Nope, taxi lights, landing lights, there we go. Switch off that because I do not like it. And we are coming up to 18,000 feet. We did miss, so that dot there that's lit up, that's telling us that we are coming up on our altitude. And there we go, it's gone out, and there would be a little horn as well. So now we are going to accelerate to the speed we need. Let's bring up Navigraph again and let's have a look at what we can do on Navigraph. So what options do we have available to us? I think let's do a quick test of the ADF system, shall we? So if we pop in 3995, let's do that. So we'll go over here and try and pop in on the ADF 3. Well, it's just going to give me 399. Will it pick up 399? No idea. Shall we see? ADF 1. No, it is not picking it up. That's annoying. Can we try anything else? Let's have a look. What could we attempt? We've got a VOR there. Dover, right, okay. I have an idea. So we have Dover. This could be a good example. So let's say we want to go direct to Conan. So from Dover, let's have Dover tuned in. So that's going to be, and I'm going to actually tune this in on the RNAV system here. So we'll go to checking speeds. Hang on, making sure everything is okay. Things are looking okay. Great. Let's go ahead and check this. So 114.95. Oops. 114.95. That's our check. So there we go. We are currently 90 miles from it. It's going to take us 25 minutes to get there, and we are doing 212 knots towards it. Obviously we are not quite in the correct direction. Let's say we want to go to Conan. What we can do is we could go into data and we could set up a radial to it. So we'll say the 093 radial. I mean, at this point I'm not in a good position for this, but it's okay. We'll do the 093 radial. So 093. There we go. And the distance, and we are saying that it is 24 miles away. So 24 miles away. There we go. And that tells us where exactly we are. So if I now put that into, let's see, RNAV mode. There we go, RNAV mode. And we should be able to, if I were to press the display, no, that's changing for use that. There is a way to do this, not DME. There is a way to do this. Beats me now. I am slightly at a loss as to how to do this. I've used this system on a different aircraft. Let's go ahead and do a turn to a heading of 230, and we just had some noise come up. Is the half bank not really working? Because that just seems to be full bank to me. I'm not sure what that D was. Might be me accidentally changing that. Yes, that is what that was. Okay, that's fine. Lots of noises in this aircraft. Plenty to get on with. I think prop ice is probably something we need at this point. We're definitely in some haze, and actually we are at a cloud level, so I would say that we do need our de-icing systems on. There we go. So all of our de-icing systems are on. I'm not sure why that one is not green. That is interesting. Now, what was I doing? Oh yes, I was going to try and get this RNAV working. So there is a way to do this. I cannot remember exactly what it is. I'm going to have to read up on this again. Not that one. I've pressed that twice now. So that's the data. That tells you how far away you are. There is a way to press it that tells you what your distance is from it. Oh, is it this? Hang on. VOR1, VOR2, GPS, RNAV. There it is. That is the one. So what we then do is we can actually use this RNAV to select the course, and I want to see this in play. So we're heading to it. You know what? It will be easier for me to use my system to do a course select. No, because that course select option does not work. Okay. So what we want is we want a heading of that. Now, the problem is that in Microsoft Flight Simulator, for some reason, we cannot have this RNAV system does not work with the nav mode as you would normally have it. It is unfortunate, but it is just a thing. It just is how it works. So the best way to do it is to have an RNAV, set up your RNAV, set up your course as we have, and then go ahead and use the heading mode as you would as if you did not have a nav mode, to find it and then just track the radial in. That is what you need to do. So that is what I'm doing here. At this point, I think, whilst looking outside, I think this is a good time as we come over the English Channel and into some clouds. I would say this is a good time to have a look at the... Everything is okay here, yep. To have a look at the engine trend monitor. So that is what I'm going to do. So this is our engine trend monitor. It has a number of pages. We have the ETM page, the nav page, the fuel, and the air data page. Or should I say modes, and then it has a number of pages on them. So exceedance, yeah, I know about that. There we go. So, for example, that tells me when the next inspection of this aircraft is due. It is due in 198.5 hours. That gives me interesting information about my voltage, which is 16.9, and the highest turbine temperature at interstage turbine temperature at 719. I'm not sure at which point that was set, but that is when it's telling me. Then we've got some logs. I have no idea what that is. I think that's the memory in it. That is a specific fuel consumption, I believe. Shaft horsepower at the moment is 764. So, for example, if I did give it just a tad more power, there you go. You see that's increasing. But conversely, we also have, or consequently, we have this increasing as well. As soon as I might put that mode on, so you'll see as soon as we come out of the 850 mode, that will drop to 700 at maximum power. Right, next up, what are we looking for? 33 miles there. What else do we have on this page? I haven't actually looked at all of this. NG percentage is 101%, which is okay. It can take a little bit more than that. I have no idea what NP is. It says NP 2000. I have actually no idea what that NP... What does NP 2000 mean? NP. What is NP? Propeller RPM. 2000. So we're running at 2000 RPM. There we go. That's what that is. Sorry, I've just had to look that up in the manual. We've got our torque 2027, and our turbine temperature current, which is 800, which is also shown right there, which is excellent. And the torque is in foot-pounds. We can then go to the next one. Then we've got the same options, just in a different configuration, and again when the next inspection is due. This one, by the way, is the lowest voltage and the highest ITT during, I think that was during start. So we went down to 16.9 volts and we went up 719 degrees Celsius. So there we go. We're dropping just a little here. Just ever so careful about that as we go through some clouds. We should be okay. Should be okay with the clouds. Okay. Switch that off. Then we can go to the nav page. So, on the nav page, in fact, hold on, there is something else to do. Log off totals, there we go. If we go to this and then go to this here, that will tell us everything we've done. So, this is how many starts we've had, or starts and shutdown cycles, and how many hours the engine's been running for. So, we've had this up for 1.5 hours. This isn't in total. AF is our total takeoff and landing cycles of each airframe, so I've had one takeoff so far. And then, of course, what the flight time has been. Then we have anything else? No, that's it. That is everything on that. So there we go. Let's go to the next page. This is the nav page. So on the nav page, we have our current GPS position. We have on the next page, we've got our waypoints, if we had waypoints built in, which we do not at the moment. We've got our ETAs to the next waypoint, ETAs to the destination. This one's quite cool. This is our track and our ground speed. So in fact, that is telling me that I need to move that across. This is what I really wanted to show, because this one here shows the wind. So we've got winds 306 and 19 knots. I think that is a really, really cool thing to be showing. So that would then tell us what our deviation needs to be to get ourselves back on track, for example, on this course that we're trying to get onto over here. How far away are we, by the way? We can check over here on the nav instruments for N1 for these. So that's nav 1, we can hold, we have nav 2. But over here is what I'm looking for, which is 17 nautical miles. Excellent. In fact, it tells me right there as well. Great. That's really, really good. So yes, we have that, and then we've got our heading and drift. So that's what our current drift is due to the wind, and then we've got our current heading and our rotation turn rate, which is again really cool. Then we've got our fuel, which I should really keep an eye on. Yes, we are fine on fuel. So it shows you what the fuel is, fuel to, etc., fuel at a specific point, what our specific range is, what our current fuel flow is, how much fuel we've used, how much fuel there is remaining, how much time there is remaining, so I can fly for another 1.5 hours with this amount of fuel at this particular consumption, which is really cool. It just saves you from doing a lot of these things on paper, which is what we used to do. We used to do all of this on paper. And then the last one we have is, oops, come on, air data. So this is showing local time, this is showing GMT time, this is our current flight timer, this is our outside air temperature, our altitude is 18,500. What? Okay. Well, apparently our altitude is 18,500. Density altitude is 18,500. Which doesn't make sense. I thought we would be at standard pressure. It's fine. That is fine. And then we've got our, there we go, that is better. There's our pressure altitude. We work on pressure altitude, not density altitude. Much better. And then we've got our speed in knots indicated, our true airspeed, which is nearly 300, and our Mach number, which is Mach 0.4. So we're doing half the current speed of sound, which is, again, fine. Then we've got our gross weight, and then back to that. So all of this is really, really quite cool. Which one do I want to show you? I think the one I want to show is going to be on the ETM, and it's going to be the shaft horsepower when we go into a descent, and then when we go into, or when I switch off the 850 mode. So there we go. We are currently over the English Channel, and I should probably start looking for a place to land. I think I've shown quite a bit here at this point in time. So let's start looking for a place to set down. I wanted to fly all the way into Heathrow. I'm not sure how long that is going to take me. It may take another half an hour to fly. So we took off from where? There. And as you can see, by the way, that cone and track has actually worked excellently. So we've done that. Now what I could do is I can go here and say, let's track direct to Dover. So I'll go to the data, same radial, but instead the distance is now going to be 0. There we go. We're now tracking direct to Dover, which is really cool. Let's see, where can I land? Should we try and land at, so we've got Gatwick down here. So that's Heathrow. Then Gatwick will be down here somewhere. There's Gatwick. I think Gatwick will be our option airport. So let's go ahead and do that. So let's start looking at Gatwick. Echo Golf Kilo Kilo. This is great having an EFB like this. Let's open some charts and let's see what the approach for Gatwick is. We want to be landing 26 We want to be landing 26 left, so let's go ahead and do that. So we'll be approaching, it's going to be 257, 110 points. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to tune that in right now for this. Like so, and certainly I want to tune it in on here. We have so many options at the moment for radios. We've got the RNAV radio there, we've got nav 1 and nav 2. It is really good. So we'll be coming up to 2,000 feet, 5.5 miles away. That is fine. Okay, what I want to do is I need to check what some of the approaches are going to be. So I want approaches. Can I check out the approaches here? Yes, I can. Here we go. Arrivals. That is the arrival I want. There we go. That right there is pretty much the arrival I would like into Gatwick. So Gatwick is there. So what I want to do is I want to go Kona 2G. Okay. So we'll go ahead and start tracking like that. And I guess we can use the RNAV now because we need this one here, which is Aaron. If I can figure out where that's going to be, which I have no actual idea unless I put some GPS points in. So we'll do that, and then we're going to fly for what I'm going to do. I'm going to fly direct Mayfield. So I'm going to put Mayfield in 0.9. There we go. So that is going to be the next one that I want, and for that I am going to be pointing, switch off the RNAV one there. We want the VOR1 to be pointing from Aaron. I kind of want it to be, we'll head on a, once we get to Aaron, which at this point I'm just basically using GPS to do. Once we get to Aaron, we are going to turn, we'll turn to a heading of 210 to intercept Mayfield directly. So we want to go direct west to Mayfield. So that is going to be the plan. And then from Mayfield, we will work it out into getting into Gatwick. So we want to, after that, go pretty much north, line up, and away we go. So there we go. That is what I want. And then I'm just going to check 26 transition final. Yeah, so we want to be final like that. So if we then stick an RNAV, what we'll do is we'll stick an RNAV across to be 8 miles away, and at 8 miles away I want to be at 2,500 feet. We'll turn in, and then that will be our plan. I think this is going to work. So let's go ahead and start working out the RNAV procedure for this. 26 is going to be, as I said, 110.9. There it is. Distance, I want, the heading is going to be 260. So, wait, this is not going to be 260, it'll be the reciprocal. Thank you. So it's going to be 080. We'll fine-tune that a little. We are going to go for 8 nautical miles, and that looks good to me. Okay, and then when we set up that RNAV, we want to be heading to that point from Mayfield. So all we're going to do is we're going to get to Mayfield and then go across. This is not how you would normally do it, I would say. We're doing fairly well for Arran, which is a GPS waypoint, so that is good. We're just waiting to get... Honestly, I'm just waiting for Mayfield at the moment, and I'm just going to... That is what I'm going to tune into. So it's picked it up anyway. We're currently on a 085 radial. We're looking for a 090 radial for Mayfield, and then, as I said, we will go up, and then we want to join that. So if it's at 10 miles, whatever the radial is at that point, we'll want to do that. So if I just go to RNAV, the radial probably is going to be somewhere in the range of north. In fact, I have an idea. Because we can use nav mode to fly to Mayfield, we can then watch until the RNAV matches up to north and just go into RNAV mode, or go into heading mode, ready to go. I have this all planned out. Is it going to work like this? I have no idea. We are coming up on the coast of Britain. Excellent. We're also coming up, I think, on Mayfield. Yes, we are. A minute or so, and we should be tracking exactly as we want. So as soon as we are heading towards Mayfield, we are going to drop to, because I'm not following proper procedures here, we are going to drop to, I think, should we go down to 8,000 feet? We'll start doing a descent to 8,000. As you can see, true airspeed, very high. There we go. Let's just check the airport. So actually check the chart for approach charts for 26 is actually 257. Probably want to make sure that is a thing. So 257 means it's going to be 077. So that is going to be important. I'll actually do that to 10 nautical miles. Give me a little bit of room. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back into nav mode. Then once we're down, we'll try the approach mode. And I think that is a reasonable test of this aircraft. I think we would have done a fairly reasonable test. There's a number of things I have not checked out. Obviously, I do not want to switch the bleed off because we will depressurize very quickly. You can see everything has been pressurized nicely. The cabin temperature is holding really nicely. Everything seems to be working as it should. Okay, there's our approach. So I'm okay with that. Oh, it disappeared. There it goes. It's back. I'm okay with that. I'm not going to bother with the initial approach. You can see there's Mayfield down there. So it is going to... So where does it want me to come in from? Because that is 5.5, 2,000 feet. Yeah, we'll work it out. We will work it out. So, nav mode it is. And there we go. We are good on the nav mode, which means I can now tune this ready for my next trick, which is going to be going due north. And we shall now go into a descent. So I'm going to bring this down to 8,000 feet. Vertical speed needs to be dropping at 500 foot per minute. And we'll start dropping power ever so slightly. There we go. In fact, we're going to drop at 1,000 feet per minute as we head towards Mayfield. How far away are we? 26 miles. Now we should be able to do that quite quickly. We are getting there at an extremely high rate. I have to say though, this has been an incredible experience to fly this aircraft. It is actually superb to fly. This is one of the best aircraft I've ever flown. And I keep saying that about BlackSquare products. Maybe I need to come up with a new I don't know, maybe I need to come up with a new category or something, like a special category or something like that. I do need to pull up a chart actually. I want to see what the chart approach give me. Oh dear, not that. Give me the approach, please. Final. We are going to be doing probably a Cat 2 landing. Hide that. This is what I want to know. My decision heights. There we go. So radar altitude, Cat 2 102 feet. So that is what I'm going to set. There we go. And I can also set it here. So the way we do that is we click decision height set, and we set it to 100 feet. There we go. Like that. Go to normal. Is there another way to do that? I'm not sure. So there we go. That is done. Brightness is controlled here, by the way, for the ADI. And I did say I was going to show you this compressed mode, didn't I? So there you go. That's compressed mode. It's basically everything just put into one. This has obviously a lot more features. I have not yet even tried all of them. The brightness control for this is over here. Let's go ahead and pop on the... Right, if I swap out of this, it isn't going to show it to me, is it? So I have a very slight issue. No, I do not. I do not have a very slight issue because I can swap it to look at VOR2. How do I do that? This is just a display. I'm fairly sure. If I do that, yes, nav mode. Oh no, it switches off. Bother. That is no good. But we are about to hit this anyway, so let's go into heading hold right now. Surely we're not going to hit that quickly, are we? We are. And it's time to really start cranking the speed back as we are coming down. And I'm actually going to now switch off the TBM mode. So you'll notice that I now... Come on. Switch off. Okay. Eventually I'll switch off the TBM mode. It's not the easiest of things to do. There you go. That's now switched off. So now I cannot actually put the extra power in. So if I do show you, I'll just put the extra power in now. You'll see that's at maximum power. I'm pushing it. Now, this is managing to give me a little bit, but nowhere near what I was getting before. So there you go. Right, reducing power. We're actually way off on the RNAV. Way off. Thought we were getting quite a lot closer. Apparently not. I do need to check this really. How do I close this? I'll just close that, it's fine. Hide that. Where are we? Yeah, we are quite a distance away, I think. It's more than 10 miles. But it's not too bad, realistically. What I can do is I do need to really start slowing this aircraft down for my approach now. We are coming down to 13,000 feet, so landing lights need to go on. That's strobe. Landing lights need to go on. There we go. And let's start having a look at the checklist. I've not attempted this, obviously, so this is going to be interesting. So I think we need to start bringing this barometric pressure back in as well to the whole 31. So I think that is what we are going to be at. and start bringing this into a much steeper descent for London. We will swap that out. We will swap this one out. I think now it is just a matter of trying to capture the localizer. There we go. So we'll go ahead and do that, and then 330. We are coming down much faster now, which is really good. Still have a lot of speed to shed, but I want to sort of be on my approach, maybe doing 160-ish as we come in. Hit approach mode. I think we've just blasted through the localizer, but we are coming down now. Oh, did it not? It's lost it. It lost the localizer. Did it? No, it's still got it. It lost the autopilot, that's what it did. Have I busted through the localizer? Is that what's happened? Check the charts. Lots of lag. Zoom in. Yes, I think I did. That's okay. I can correct for this. Not a problem. We just need to ensure that we've got a really good descent going though. That's the only thing. Oh, not 2,700. 2,000, please. So go ahead and go heading that way. Switch that off. Switch soft ride off. Switch that off. And now we should be able to get the... Right, we should be able to hit approach mode here and we should be okay. Our altitude now, we're going to try and bring it right the way down to 3,000 feet. Because I think we are way too high. But that is why I'm going to slow us right down now. Now hopefully the approach mode works. We are slowing down very nicely now. And we are descending, we're still descending at a really good rate. So that is still positive. I think we can make this. I think we can definitely make this. Checking everything, temperatures have gone up, so I think that that can switch off, prop de-ice can switch off, windshield heaters can switch off. That's great. The inertial separator has remained on through the whole flight. That's not a problem. 3 miles to where we need to be, which is 10 miles from the airfield. I think we are way too high. But I'm going to try it anyway. We've got the opportunity. All we've got to do is slow the aircraft down to the correct amount. We should be able to do this. Come on, I want you to capture. I need that localizer captured. Oh, I think we've got this. I think this is okay. So it is quite a fairly steep descent, actually. The fact that we can descend at this rate, at 3,000 feet per minute. Oops, not that. I did not mean to do that. There we go. Is quite remarkable. Okay, we're at 4,000. I think we've got this. I think this is okay. And if we really wanted to, we can just now go ahead and set that to 0. We've got 8 miles to run. I hope the approach mode is working. It should be working, right? Certainly hope it is. Don't think it is. Runway 26 is 257. There we go. Okay, we've done exactly what I need to do with the altitude. So that is really good. Now comes the difficult bit. One is stage 1 of flaps. The second is, where on earth is the airfield? Because I honestly think I've lost the airfield. Nope, there we go. Got it. Just. Now, 5 miles to run. I think at this point... Oh, there it is in the middle of the... Right, very difficult to see. I'm actually going to now slow down to my landing speed. So I'm going to... That goes down. This has been switched off. We are in a descent as we should be. Gear has come down. Shaft power is nice and low, which is good. Just lining ourselves up. I've not actually taken out the autopilot yet. And landing flaps. And as I said, this is really, really, really strange because we've just been doing 300 knots. We're now doing 90. And we're going to be landing like this. It is a really, really strange experience. Now I have my autopilot disconnect ready, but I want to see how far I can take this autopilot. I want to see if it actually turns back on course for the localizer. Which for this I guess would actually press that to be into a more accurate mode. That's slightly below what I want. 80 was a little bit slow. There we go. 85 is what I want there. That's the ideal spot. Okay, I think we've got a bit of a crosswind. So I'm going to take control. I'm going to take control now. Actually, it's turning me in. I do not want to take control whilst it's turning me in. There we go. It's stabilized. And I have control, which you'll immediately notice because suddenly the aircraft starts shaking. Everything is looking fairly good though. Coming into Gatwick, lovely evening. Missed approach altitude has been set 3,000 feet. We are a little high. We'll drop this again. And down we come. I don't think the barometer is what I thought it was here. It's slightly different. And now let's really bring the power back. Very long, gentle flare. Down we are. There we go. Reversers or reverse thrust. Idle. And off the... oh, where do I exit the runway? So off the runway I go, but doesn't seem to be an exit just here. Okay, that was not bad. That was actually not bad at all. Not the greatest of landings. That would be my own fault. I could not see the airport through the sun, so, and I did not actually try to get onto the localizer fast enough. That all happened a lot quicker than I was thinking it would, but there we go. I can now put this into standby. Landing lights, here we go, we'll exit here. Taxi lights go on. Landing lights can come off. Strobe lights can come off as we exit the runway, and we are good to go. So, what do I think of this aircraft? So the flights has been done. I've done everything. It has been 2 hours. I've gone through everything. I've gone through almost everything, should I say. What do I think of this aircraft? I think this is an excellent aircraft. This is easily one of the best aircraft I've ever seen. It has been modelled to near perfection, I would say. It is really, really good. I can even switch this off now. I don't need those. Those can be switched off. I've got a little compass telling me what direction I'm facing. Yes, I have no reservations about. I have no reservations whatsoever about endorsing this product and saying that yes, you definitely need to purchase this product if you like these sorts of aircraft. So propeller aircraft that are fast, propeller aircraft that can fly at high altitude and give you quite a decent range, so you could fly quite a distance. Then this is the aircraft for you. Definitely, this is definitely the aircraft for you. Everything about it, I think, is excellent. It has so many features, as I said. The whole foreign object detection system with the inertial separator, which I'm going to now switch off. Just the simple things like the lighting, the way that the lighting changes depending on the load on the voltmeter, the cabin pressurization systems, the electrical, all of these electrical systems that work, the extensive checklists, and really just the level of detail, even the fact that the engine was modelled. Sure, you're not going to look into that, but it is there. And because it is there, it just shows the amount of effort that has been put into developing this aircraft. And for that, I cannot fault it in the slightest. There's just nothing I can fault about this aircraft. Even just stopping it, it's such an easy aircraft. I say an easy aircraft to fly. It's a very complicated aircraft, but at the same time, it is really, really easy to fly the aircraft once you know what you are doing. So, for example, I'm just going to go ahead and go through the shutdown procedure for this, which is really quite easy. So we'll switch. That's off. I should have really switched that on, the oxygen supply, but there was no warning because we did not have any issues whatsoever. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to switch the bleed valve off, switch the air conditioning off, switch that off. Things will start heating up very slowly. That's another thing, another feature that I didn't even talk about. The fact that through the windows the sunlight can heat up the aircraft. Opening the door can actually have the aircraft cool down. It's just really cool things like that this aircraft has. I'm sure I have missed some things, but I think I've covered everything that I possibly can. How do I switch this off? There was a way to switch this off. I have no idea what it is. Oh well. Parking brake set. Parking brake annunciator is illuminated. Bleed air is off. Cabin differential is depressurized. Let's go ahead and do that. Let's depressurize that. That has been depressurized. Fan flow as required. Well, that's done. That's done. Gyro instruments. Power lever idle for 1 minute. Well, Yes, it has been in idle, so that's fine. Gyro instruments all off, so let's go ahead and do that. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that will actually take some time for it to all fall over. So yes, that we do not have to worry about that, but eventually you will see those things fall over. EFIS master I've already switched off, autopilot master is off, radio master can now go off. Let's go ahead and switch the avionics systems off. What else can I do? Propeller, feather for 15 seconds. There we go, that's in feather. So we'll just wait for that to feather for a while, and then we are going to cut off the engine. I think that is good enough. Engine low, cut off. Boost pump can go off. Fuel selector is manual. Inertial separator I've already switched off. Exterior lights can all go off. Well, I've just got the nav light on, so that is fine now. Ignition goes off. It's not on, off. There we go. Generator selector is on main. Source selector is to off. There we go. Suppose all instrument lighting can go off. And then put the crash bar down, and I think we are done. There we go. That is it. That is a review of the TBM 800 with a flight, with cockpit familiarization, and a whole bunch of... Hello. That isn't correct. Probably because my head tracking is on. With a whole bunch of information about this aircraft. Do I recommend this aircraft? In a nutshell, yes. Who do I recommend it for? Honestly, I think a lot of people would be able to get on board with this aircraft. It isn't the easiest of aircraft to fly, as I said, but it is definitely not a difficult aircraft to fly. It's not difficult in the slightest. There we go. It just takes a little bit of practice. And I think if you have flown an aircraft for a little while in Flight Simulator and think, yep, I'm ready for a challenge, this is the one, because it has pretty much everything that you could want in an aircraft. Distance, range, climb outs, good climb, good performance, power, all these extra modes, weather radars, RNAV, everything that you want. And this is classical RNAV, by the way, not the RNAV that we think of on jets. So it has everything that you want at a really good price point. For £30, this is definitely worth it. I'm not going to say it's up there with the likes of PMDG, because PMDG is a 737. It's a vastly more complicated system than one of these. But for what it is, a propeller aircraft, a realistic study level propeller aircraft, turboprop, it is bang on. So yes, I highly recommend this. Link in the description box below for that. That, I think, is all from me, so thank you very much for watching. Please remember to click on the like button, subscribe to the channel for more videos on Microsoft Flight Simulator. Leave a comment in the comments box below, letting me know what you think. Have you picked up this product? If so, what are your thoughts on it? Do you rate it as highly as I do? What things would you like to see improved on this product? Off the top of my head, I cannot think of anything. I'm sure I could if I flew this for maybe 10, 15, 20 hours. I could probably think of maybe 1 or 2 things. One thing I did realise on this, though, is that the TBM, none of the TBM aircraft have beacon lights. There we go. Nothing to do with Microsoft Flight Simulator or this product, just to do with the aircraft itself. Very, very strange. If you can do so, please do consider supporting me on Patreon. Link in the description box below for that, as are links to my social media and Discord. That is all from me. I am now going to take a break because that has been nearly 2 hours of constant talking. And I shall see you next time in Microsoft Flight Simulator, and I think I may be flying this aircraft a lot more.